Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're dissecting a massive, yet honestly kind of overlooked shift happening in commercial real estate and facility management right now. Over the next few minutes, we're going to go through an exclusive masterclass breaking down the fatal operational flaws of traditional commercial wall coverings and exploring the exact technological leap that's defining 2026. Look, if you manage a facility, design commercial spaces, or oversee large-scale portfolios, what we're looking at today is going to fundamentally change how you view your walls. So, let's start with a provocative question. The unseen nightmare keeping hospital administrators and portfolio directors up at night. Why exactly are these industry experts completely abandoning traditional vinyl wall graphics? I mean, for decades, vinyl and traditional wallpaper were the unquestioned go-to standards, right? But looking at the data, we are seeing a massive exodus away from these materials. And as you'll see, the reason comes down to physics, chemistry, and pure economics. Here's our roadmap to figure out why this shift is inevitable. First, we'll expose the vinyl replacement trap. Second, we'll break down the direct-to-wall solution. Third, we'll analyze the metrics of speed, durability, and scale. Fourth, we'll run the numbers on true lifecycle cost. And finally, we'll look at real-world institutional success. All right, let's get right into it. Starting with part 1, the vinyl replacement trap. And trust me, it really is a trap. The core issue here? It's the underlying engineering. Traditional vinyl graphics rely 100% on adhesives. And think about it. What happens to glues in high-traffic spaces with crazy temperature swings, humidity, and constant chemical cleaning? Well, they fail. They just weaken. The edges peel, the seams bubble up, the colors fade, and you're typically looking at an 18 to 36-month lifespan tops. Direct-wall technology, on the other hand, completely removes the adhesive from the equation. You get a 10-plus-year lifespan with a perfectly sealed finish. It's basically the difference between slapping a temporary sticker on a wall versus installing a permanent architectural standard. Out in the real world, this puts facilities on an incredibly frustrating, unpredictable treadmill. We're hearing from facilities directors who are literally replacing vinyl graphics every 2 to 3 years on the exact same walls. They're just burning through operational budgets just to maintain the status quo. Think about the labor to remove it, the prep work, the new materials, the reinstallation. It is just a highly inefficient way to manage a space. Which brings us to section 2, the direct-to-wall solution. This is a total paradigm shift. Okay, so what actually is this technology? Well, direct-to-wall printing is an advanced industrial printing process. It takes high-resolution ink, we're talking photoreal detail here, and applies it directly right onto your surface. Could be drywall, concrete, block, brick, you name it. So instead of floating a vulnerable glued-on layer on top of a wall, this tech mathematically bonds the image right to the substrate itself. And, because there is zero adhesive, there is absolutely nothing to peel off. Operationally, the deployment is remarkably streamlined. It's really just 3 steps. Step 1 is substrate prep. You assess and prime the wall so the ink adheres perfectly. Step 2 is direct printing, where an industrial-grade printer applies the artwork at an architectural scale. And step 3 is top coat application to seal and protect it. Honestly, it gives you the artistry of a hand-painted mural, but with the precision of industrial manufacturing. Plus, you don't need specialized artisans tying up your space for weeks to get it done. All right, let's move to section 3, speed, durability, and scale. This is all about high-traffic performance. 5 hours. Remember that number because it is a total game changer. 5 hours is the astonishingly brief window it takes to complete a typical installation. With traditional vinyl, you're looking at 1, maybe 2 full days just dealing with adhesive setting times, finishing seams, and curing delays. Hand-painted murals? Those take weeks. Direct-to-wall is just playing a completely different game. And the operational implications of that speed are massive. We are talking same-day space readiness. Because you don't have to wait around for glue to dry, you can actually do the install during off hours. That means literally 0 operational downtime. Look, if you're managing a busy hospital, you can't just shut down a critical patient corridor for 2 days, right? Same with a school. You can't block off a main hallway in the middle of the academic year. This process completely protects your day-to-day operational flow. Now, what about durability? Well, these graphics are quite literally engineered for abuse. They use industrial-grade inks and a sealed top coat so they vigorously resist scratching, staining, fading, you name it. Picture a pediatric hospital lobby. You've got kids touching the walls, sticky fingers, maybe even markers, or a school where heavy backpacks are constantly scuffing the hallways.
Plus, that sealed barrier completely stops moisture from getting in, which is huge because moisture infiltration is exactly what destroys traditional vinyl from the inside out, causing hidden mold risks and rot. And then there's scaling. Say you need to roll out a rebrand across a 50-location enterprise. Logistically, traditional rollouts are, frankly, a nightmare of batch errors and shipping delays. But direct-to-wall works off master digital files printed right on site. No shipping required, absolute brand consistency across the board, and it shrinks what would normally be a chaotic 9-month vinyl rollout into a super predictable, tightly controlled 3-month timeline.
Let's talk numbers in Section 4, the true life cycle cost. We're looking at the hard 10-year economics here. This right here is the big aha moment for budget-conscious portfolio managers. Yes, the upfront cost for, say, a 2,000 square foot corridor is going to be slightly higher for direct-to-wall. You're looking at around $12,000 to $16,000, compared to $8,000 to $12,000 for vinyl. But you have to factor in the replacement cycle. Over a decade, vinyl is going to force you into 3 or 4 replacement cycles. Direct-to-wall, 0. So over 10 years, traditional vinyl is going to drain $30,000 to $40,000 from your budget. Direct-to-wall drops that to roughly $14,000 to $18,000 total, and most of that is just basic cleaning. The economic advantage is absolutely undeniable.
And hey, the savings aren't just financial, they're environmental too. By ditching vinyl, you completely eliminate that constant 3-year waste stream of stripped materials, chemical glues, and off-gassing solvents that are heading straight for the local landfill. For institutions that are serious about LEED certifications, hitting carbon goals, or just general waste reduction, removing this toxic replacement cycle directly aligns with those big sustainability commitments.
Finally, Section 5, real-world institutional success. Let's look at the actual outcomes. These real-world applications are what truly cement how superior direct printing is in complex, demanding settings. We're seeing pediatric hospitals using massive, beautiful nature scenes to visibly reduce patient anxiety. Emergency departments are printing highly cleanable directional wayfinding right onto the walls to reduce confusion without bolting up extra physical signs. We've got 15 campus school districts finally eliminating hallway clutter, and massive corporate enterprises effortlessly maintaining perfectly cohesive brand identities across dozens of different offices. But perhaps the most critical advantage here for future-proofing your building is that these finishes are paint-over ready. This means your facility stays infinitely agile. You are not locking yourself into a permanent design forever. If you want to refresh the space or rebrand in 10 years, you don't have to rip everything down and generate huge piles of demolition waste. You just paint over it and start fresh. Your wall becomes an evolving canvas, treating your graphics as a true infrastructural asset, not just some disposable commodity. Which brings us to our final and, honestly, probably our most important question today. Take a hard look at your own spaces. Is your facility actually investing in lasting infrastructure, or are you just blindly funding a broken, never-ending replacement cycle? The shift away from vinyl is so much more than just a passing design trend. It is a structural necessity for the modern built environment. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Take a good look at your walls today, and I'll catch you in the next one.